A relative calm descends on Burkina Faso just 2 days after a military coup. Taking to the skies to defend wildlife from poachers. And in sports, highlights from the Rugby World Cup. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. The streets of Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, have been relatively calm on Friday, just 2 days after a military coup. The coup leaders, led by Brigadier General Gilbert Dendere, say they have released the country's ousted interim president, Michel Kafando, but they have not commented on the status of the Prime Minister, Isaac Zida, who was also detained. General Dendere also rejected assertions that former President Blaise Compaoré has anything to do with the ousting of the transitional government. Brigadier General Gilbert Dendere spoke to VOA's French to Africa service Thursday, a day after soldiers overthrew the West African country's transitional government and detained its leaders.
I do not deny having worked with President Compaoré. I think a denial would be a serious sin for me. But regarding the present situation, I'm telling you, he had absolutely nothing to do with it. He has not been contacted either before or after this operation. And so far, I have not had any contact with him, even to explain what has gone on. I have not had contact with him.
But protesters, angered by the military's strong-arm tactics, believe former President Blaise Compaoré has had a hand in the coup. Compaoré was ousted by a popular uprising last October.
Dendere, we're going to take back power. The power is in the streets. The CDP, we do not care for them. These are not blacks.
At least 3 people have been reported to have been killed as protesters attempted to gather near the presidential palace in Ouagadougou Thursday. The U.S. Embassy says roadblocks are being put up across the city. The general said the military staged the coup because the country's political process was biased. He said he will start a political dialogue to include all parties. Burkina Faso was scheduled to hold parliamentary and presidential elections in October the 11th. That date is now in limbo. Well, for more on the situation in Burkina Faso, Danny Ayida, an analyst and expert in governance with African Labour Group, joins us on the phone from Ouagadougou. Good evening, Danny.
Good evening, Vincent.
Yes, now, first tell us, what do you make of the latest actions by the military junta, the release of Kafando and also the opening of the borders?
Yeah, the release of Kafando and the reopening of the borders can be seen as calming measures that were decided by the CND, and I think they did so to reassure the ECOWAS leaders who arrived in Ouagadougou at noon today.
Now, he was indeed, as you say, ECOWAS leaders are talking to him today, led by Macky Sall, president of Senegal. What are they likely to propose under these circumstances?
I think ECOWAS will demand return to normal political order. You can remember in a joint statement that ECOWAS made 2 days ago with AU and UN, it was clear that the international community will not accept the Dendere junta to lead Burkina Faso. So I think that will be the main demand that they can come with during this mission.
Now, General Dendere says that he took power, him and his colleagues, and because there is bias in the political process in Burkina Faso. What do you think could be done to create that sense of fairness, now not only for them, but for everybody else?
Yeah, fairness in election, according to the CND, will be to allow the former rulers of the CDP regime to run for presidential election, and also the dissolution of that military corps, the presidential military corps, that was proposed. They can ask the transitional ruler to roll back that decision. So I can imagine they will try to revise also the electoral law for this to be possible.
Now, we know so many things are happening at the same time, but what do you get, as the general response by citizens as things develop in that country?
Yeah, generally the population rejects the coup. In Ouagadougou, people are getting organized in some neighborhood to protest against the CND. Demonstrations are going on in Ouaga and in some cities in the interior of the country, like in Bobo-Dioula. So people are asking to come back to the transition regime and to go to election.
You know, Danny, thank you very much for the update there. Danny Aida is an analyst and expert in governance with Africa Labour Group based in Ouagadougou. Now to the European migrant crisis. Croatian Prime Minister Zoran Milanovic says that his country will offer migrants food, water and medical help, but it will no longer register or house thousands of migrants entering the nation. Croatia sealed 7 of its 8 border crossings with Serbia late Thursday after a surge of migrants crossed into the country and Hungary turned them away. Clara Frank has more.
Early Friday in a Croatian border town, migrants made their way by the bus they hope will get them to Western Europe.
Police say you go to the Slovenia. Yeah.
And why would you rather go to Slovenia than Hungary?
No, Hungary close.
Migrants are lining up to get into Croatia as it begins restricting entry in an effort to manage the huge influx of migrants who arrived over the past 2 days.
I have to object to state institutions which completely failed us and deserted us. Look around. Only 10 policemen are here compared to 500 refugees. The only help is coming from 50 people from Laka who organized themselves to help these people.
Migrants who made it to the Croatian town of Ilaka were greeted by volunteers handing out food and water as police stood by monitoring their movement.
These people are desperate. We used to be refugees, so human tragedy is human tragedy. It is a Christian and Catholic duty to help the hungry and thirsty.
Croatia became the latest pressure point in the migrant crisis after Hungarian riot police used tear gas and water cannons Wednesday to turn back people at that country's border with Serbia. Leaders from Slovenia and Austria are calling for an urgent EU response to the migrant crisis. Meanwhile, the European Parliament backed a plan to distribute some 120,000 refugees among European Union member countries, provided it can change the position of Eastern European nations that are against the plan. Clara Frank, VOA News, Washington.
We have some good news on malaria. A new United Nations report shows the number of deaths from the disease has plunged by 60% in the past 15 years. Now, this means more than 6 million lives have been saved, the vast majority of them African children. In a joint World Health Organization UNICEF report, experts say a crucial Millennium Development Goal to halt and begin to reverse the incidence of malaria by 2015 has been met convincingly, with new cases of the parasitic mosquito-borne disease down by 37% since the year 2000. The report found an increasing number of countries on the verge of eliminating malaria. In 2014, 13 countries reported 0 cases and 6 had fewer than 10 cases. Yet, despite enormous progress, malaria remains an acute problem in some regions. This year alone, there have been an estimated 214 million new cases of malaria, with nearly 438,000 deaths.
It's also important to point out that malaria still remains a disease of poverty, and that millions of children in sub-Saharan Africa, mostly from the poorest households in remote rural areas, still do not have access to insecticide-treated nets or effective treatment. And reaching them will be critical if we want to achieve equitable and sustainable development.
Well, the United Nations now has a new goal for malaria control to cut the numbers of new cases and deaths by a further 90% by 2030. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Now, coming up, protecting elephants from the skies. Stay with us.
Health news and notes. This is Living Better.
Some 40% of the world's population suffers from allergy, an overreaction of the immune system to a foreign substance. Coughing, sneezing, itchy eyes, or a runny nose are common symptoms of an allergy such as hay fever. But help may be as close as your own two fingers. Researchers have been looking at the therapeutic effects of acupuncture and acupressure.
Stimulating these various acupuncture points help to promote an antihistamine effect.
Cleveland Clinic acupuncturist Jamie Starkey says that acupressure works for allergy relief, and she teaches people to gently press with their index fingers at the base of each nostril or above both eyebrows, holding for 3 minutes.
Patients will oftentimes experience immediate relief.
Starkey says most people experience no side effects from acupressure, and it's generally considered very safe. I'm Martin Seacrest for VOA's Living Better.
Welcome back. We're excited to have with us today an African who has helped change the world. He's one of 4 original innovators and developers of fiber optics technology, the use of thin, flexible fibers of glass or other transparent solids to transmit light signals, chiefly for telecommunications or for internal examination of the body. His name is Thomas Mensah, and he's a native of Ghana. Mr. Mensah, welcome to Africa 54 once again.
Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Congratulations. I have to first congratulate you for having been honored and inducted into the National Academy of Inventors. Tell us about that and how you happen to be one of the 2 or 3.
Yeah, basically there were 167 inventors recognized.
Yeah.
And out of the 167, there were only 3 blacks, and I was among the 3.
Yeah.
And these are guys who control like 14,000 patents in all areas of technology in the United States.
Yeah.
You know, from medicine to space to telecom or the internet in my case. And so that's a very, very high elite people.
Yeah.
In fact, I was recognized alongside one of the best well-known energy secretaries, Dr. Stephen Chu, who's a Nobel Prize winner.
Great. Yeah. And, you're in town also because you're hanging out with some other brainy chaps like you.
Well, this month, September, as you know, is really very, very important because you got the UN General Assembly going on in New York, and then in D.C. you have the Black Caucus, which is the Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Weekend.
Yeah.
That brings together all great minds.
Yeah.
And so I was invited, to be part of it. Yeah. And President Obama will be speaking.
Yeah.
During the Phoenix Award on Saturday night.
That's great. Now, a little bit, I always say every time I mention nanotechnology, it can sound abstract to some of our viewers. Just can you break it down to a common man's language, or at least a level of comprehension in terms of its practical use as we are using it today?
Well, nanotechnology, just like we use, we develop fiber optics that has changed the world. We think nanotechnology is going to take us to the next economy, particularly the United States and the world. Mm-hmm. And I am the chief editor-in-chief of a book called Frontiers of Nanotechnology.
Yeah.
Now, but nanotechnology basically is really the technology of very, very tiny or small things. Mm-hmm. Very, very small.
And we're able to use them in places we sometimes don't realize. Now, an example of fiber optics is what? Just give an example of what somebody can relate with who is watching us.
Oh, in fiber optics?
In fiber optics.
Okay. No, fiber optics, as you know, basically is the ability to use laser pulses and laser-based optical cables to send data, just like Google search information or Facebook pictures, to send it distances, so that you can send your Facebook picture to Kenya, your Facebook picture to China, and that has given rise to Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all that. Without fiber optics, you cannot send anything. Yeah. You take a picture, it stays in your phone. So we developed the technology. There are 4 of us that did it. and I'm the only black among the four, which means you can sit here and tweet and send information, but the information is traveling at the speed of light because you're using laser pulses to send the data or to send the pictures or to send a YouTube video that people are watching now.
I mean, I'm sitting with a gentleman who has made it possible for me to send this kind of information to people across the world.
Exactly. There are 1 billion people connected to the internet because of fiber optics.
Yeah, and because of you and 3 other guys.
Yes.
So what's the next move?
Well, right now, I'm looking at 2 things. The next innovation is nanotechnology, and I'll speak about that. But at the moment, I have a strong passion that places that don't have the internet needs the internet. They need to be connected to the global village, which is the World Wide Web, particularly Africa. And I'm from there, and therefore I want to push internet connectivity in Africa. We want to move from 5% penetration rate. You know, U.S. is 90, so 5% is really low. Yeah. And the reason is you don't have fiber optic cables or cell towers set up in all those. Some places, like you mentioned earlier, are using even satellite. Yeah. You know, satellite, you see when you're talking to somebody, you have delays.
It's a delay.
Fiber optics, you don't have delays.
Oh, okay.
Things are sent in seconds.
Okay, so we expect, of course, many more changes in the world because of you and your friends. Thanks a lot for sharing that with us, and we hope to see you back here to tell us more about your inventions. Well, Thomas Minster is one of 4 original innovators and developers of fiber optics technology. Thanks a lot. Well, wildlife wardens across Africa taking to the skies with the hope of protecting roaming elephants. They're using drones to herd the animals and usher them away from human contact and out of harm's way. VOA's Caroline Turner has more on that story.
Soaring high above Tanzania's Tarangire National Park, this drone is herding these elephants away from danger. With its bee-like sound, the drone is encouraging these targeted mammals away from human territory, where they're sometimes injured or even killed after raiding crops or wandering into communities. The high-flying technology is a new technique for protecting elephants roaming Africa's national parks and nature reserves. Biodiversity and wildlife solutions expert Nadia D'Souza says initial trials of the drone as a herding tool have proved positive, but she says more research is needed.
All of the trials that we've done so far, they've moved away from the drones really quickly, whether they were in the fields or whether they were just out of the crops. So it's been pretty positive so far, but we still need a lot more data to collect and be certain of the statistics.
Biologist David Olson believes it's only a matter of time before the smart creatures get used to the drone's bee-like sound. That's why they've been training rangers to fly drones carrying chili powder, an efficient elephant deterrent.
I think elephants are smart enough to know that at night when they're in the crops feeding on watermelons and corn that bees aren't swarming. I think pretty quickly they'll get used to it, and that's why we are exploring the use of dropping very light covers of chili powder in the air to alert them. They can't habituate to chili powder. If you get a stubborn bull that's not going to move for anything, a little chili powder might help it move along. We're going to find out this harvest season. We're hoping that it'll prove to be a useful tool for the rangers over the long term.
Olson believes drones are a realistic option because their maintenance costs are low and they can survive tough crashes in the wild. Rangers participating in the trials say that using drones is consistently proving to be effective in moving wild elephants in a predetermined direction when they're feeding on crops or in the bush outside national parks.
It is helping a lot, and the rangers are very excited about this. It's a new technology, and they think it's the safest and the easiest way of handling or herding elephants away from crops. And being a new technology that is still being tested, the tests they have already run in the field are proving to be successful, and they are looking forward to having these UAVs in the field to help farmers herd away elephants from the crop fields.
Wildlife managers around Tarangire National Park say the drones are safer for both elephants and rangers. Training more rangers to fly the drones means they will have fewer interactions with the elephants, reducing any possible danger. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Sunny Young with an update on the Rugby World Cup. We'll be right back.
Je ne renie pas d'avoir travaillé avec le président Compaoré. Je pense que le renier serait un grave péché pour moi.
Abuses that's going on in the Gambia is the enforced disappearance.
Le secteur de la finance islamique offre d'excellentes perspectives pour le continent africain.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. The car buying public is going head over heels for SUVs at the Frankfurt Motor Show. British car maker Jaguar is debuting its new F-Pace SUV with a bang. Driven by stunt driver Terry Grant, the F-Pace set a new Guinness World Record for the largest ever loop-the-loop. British luxury car maker Bentley is also zooming into SUV trend. Its new Bentia has a top speed of 301 kilometers per hour, not too far behind the 200 miles per hour plus speeds which race cars reach. But the Bentia remains a Bentley with luxurious features such as a choice of 15 different leather colors for the interior. Well, next up it is the night of 1,000 YouTube stars. Hollywood celebrities and internet stars joined together for the 50th annual Streaming Awards. This year, the show airs on VH1 for the first time. The show was co-hosted by YouTube comedians Tyler Oakley and Grace Helbig. Some of the YouTube's biggest stars, including Miranda Singh, Jenna Marbles, Gigi Gorgeous, and Boo the dog, were in attendance. Well, and finally, designer Marc Jacobs transforms the catwalk into a red carpet for his latest fashion show. Jacobs always shows at 6 p.m. on the final day of New York Fashion Week. Well, this season, he put on even more of a show than usual, taking over a theater in Midtown Manhattan with a Hollywood-style extravaganza of his own. Models walking their own red carpet outside the Ziegfeld, delighting fans on the street who surely didn't expect to see everything so up close. As for the clothes, Jacobs showcased lots of big sweaters, long gowns, short shorts, and trousers. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's time for our Friday Sports Report, and for the latest news and notes, here's Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Hello, Sunny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. The Rugby World Cup is kicking off this weekend in England. 2003 World Cup champion England is hosting Fiji in the opening match in London. Neighbors Namibia and South Africa will represent Africa in the 20-team tournament. Namibia plays two-time World Cup champion New Zealand in its opening game, while South Africa, also a two-time world champion, is facing Japan. Organizers of this 8th edition of the Rugby World Cup say it'll be the best and biggest ever. The CEO of World Rugby is Brett Gosper.
It certainly will be a record breaker on many fronts. But for all of us, we've never really lost sight of the fact that we want to make it the best possible experience for the teams coming and for the fans arriving, of which there'll be close to 500,000. Certainly it's going to be the most accessible tournament, Rugby World Cup, ever. In addition to the record ticket sales, it will be the most viewed Rugby World Cup, with 103 broadcast licensees in 205 territories carrying 23,000 hours to 772 million households worldwide.
The worldwide viewing audience could very well be record-breaking when the Rugby World Cup final is played October 31st in London. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Well, thanks a lot, Sonny, and be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday right here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. Now we leave you with music by DJ Louis, a Coupé de Calais, popular dance music originating from Ivory Coast. And thanks a lot for watching from all of us in Washington. Have a good night.
Oui, ça m'a fait pitié, oh, Arnaud, oui, faut dire ça à ton voisin.
Non mais allô quoi.
Oh, faut dire ça à la voisine. Le jour ils vont prendre ta femme aussi. Hey, tu dis aimer ta femme, mais tu l'entretiens pas. Non, c'est pas normal. Les filles, répondez.
Non, c'est pas normal.
Voyez ce qu'elle devine
quoi. C'est pas normal. Allô. Non mais allô quoi.
T'es une fille, tu n'as pas de shampoing. C'est comme si t'avais pas de cheveux. T'es un garçon, tu n'as pas de quoi. C'est comme si tu n'as pas Facebook. Oh.
Non mais allô quoi.
Achille le Béninois, Rio le Paris, depuis Lomé. Fly Bay, Zappa, de Zappa Levé.
Non mais allô quoi.
Connais le babaté. L'international Mascradel, Ojokolo, excellence et tout moto. Voici mon dernier, je parle de... Non mais allô quoi. Allô, 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 eh oh. Allô, 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 eh oh. Tu mets, je m'en tu es chouette. Allô, 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 c'est mon commis de quoi. Dami besoin de kega, Shadow Chris Nouri.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music.
Alley.
On.
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoosa oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Maraykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA-da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents, a roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.